Working in a school, you're the only principal there.
Everyone was excited by this tool that they could use to actually think about themselves as a leader.
It really does help leaders to ask some of those more challenging questions and challenge their own practice.
The leadership profiles were developed from the Australian Professional Standard for Principals. They're a set of 80 statements that together describe the actions of school leaders as they carry out their work across a range of practices. They reveal detailed pathways for development as leaders increase in proficiency throughout their career. AITSL set out to see how the profiles are being used by new and experienced school principals and their system and network leaders.
AITSL's leadership profiles, which consist of those 80 statements, are a really complete and detailed set of the length and breadth and depth of the school principal role in Australia.
As leaders, we lead teaching and learning, we lead the management of the school, we lead community development. But to actually unpack those and get a deep understanding of what the values are, what the knowledge is and what the personal qualities are that I needed to have to be exceeding in all of those areas has been very useful.
It also breaks down the job of the school leader into the operational, relational, systemic roles, which you go through all day.
If I've got a particular challenge, going to a tool like the leadership profiles affirms the work that I'm doing, helps guide the way forward, and also helps me connect with the work of the principal, because working in a school, you're the only principal there.
I really love the way that the profiles draw the responsibility into the profession for ensuring that every student's learning every day, and really clearly articulate what steps need to be happening for principals in their development in order to create the appropriate learning environment, to lead the teaching and learning, to ensure that they're building the capacity of their staff, to ensure that they're engaging and providing inclusive environments that support every single child. I mean, it's all there, and it all roads in the leadership profiles for me lead to student learning outcomes.
What the leadership profiles have done is to introduce a broad vocabulary and some broad concepts about the roles that we have responsibility for in our schools that we can now share when we talk with our colleagues and when we talk with our families and our communities and our staff. We have this common understanding of and ways to describe the responsibilities that we have in school leadership.
And it enables us to have that common language that we can share with each other and identify the areas of development for either each deputy and myself, or as a school as a whole.
Principals are saying, for the first time, I feel like I am talking with my supervisor, my network leader, about my leadership as a school principal. Using the profiles shifted the conversation in a direction that enabled the focus to be on their leadership rather than on their school improvement plan, on their accountability to the directorate, all of which are very important and critical to the role. But the shift in the conversation was, how are you going in your leadership? Where are the strengths of your leadership behaviours, and what areas of your leadership have using the profiles highlighted?
So I took the profiles to a network meeting where we meet together twice a term, and I just shared what I was doing as part of the trial. I showed my colleagues the profiles, I showed them the interactive online tool, and I challenged them to have a go at mapping themselves on the profiles for a following meeting. So the reaction that I got from colleagues was quite interesting at that meeting. Everyone was excited by this tool that they could use to actually think about themselves as a leader. We formed a strengths register, and people were able to look at that strengths register when they needed a bit of help. So if someone wanted some help in building an inclusive culture, for example, in the school, they could look into, well, who's got that really student-centred approach down pat and what have they done? And then colleagues could call each other and talk through areas that they wanted to get better at. One of the tools that I found most useful with the profiles was the interactive tool online. So being able to really target an area of my practice and look at exactly what that entailed has been very useful.
As you work to sort and filter and gain a snapshot of what you're going to look at, is at the end of that process are some absolutely fabulous resources that are great to be able to use personally, but also with your staff, depending on what you're doing at that point in time, for professional learning or understanding around what's going on at the school.
I think the profiles are particularly strong in making the aspects of leading teaching and learning visible. So we're actually able to see what are the actual behaviours, what are the strategies that I need to put in place to lead teaching and learning in my school.
To know that we're doing a particular area leading in improvement, innovation and change at a particular level is good, but also there's a higher level that I can actually aspire to in my leadership.
Coming to a new school, a new setting, a new age group, I'm finding that as I sit down and look at the profiles and using those tools again, that I'm actually putting myself in a different spot. And that's purely because of the change of the leadership that this school requires, and it's a change in my skills. And so I'm actually developing skills in other areas that I didn't particularly need at my previous school, but I do need now.
And I have a very good example about using the leadership emphasis to reflect meaningfully on a particular challenge. When we consider the situation strategically, thinking about that leadership emphasis, it caused us to think about the situation more broadly and think what was the missing piece that enabled that situation to occur in the bigger picture. So our conversations went in a different direction and a richer and deeper direction, and we were able to really address an issue in our school that was not about fixing the immediate problem, but it was about considering why and how that situation arose.
The area that I found most interesting to delve into was the leading improvement, innovation and change. Using the profile, I was able to actually go deeper into what are the values, the knowledge that I needed and the personal qualities that I needed to actually be doing that well in my day-to-day work.
As a site leader, you've got a very busy role. It's a lot of management, it's a lot of families, a lot of children, a lot of things that drag you away from development. So it's a simple way to focus back on yourself and your development and the development of your teams.
The leadership profiles really support professional reflection because they challenge leaders to really think about what am I doing, how am I working through and developing my own skills. If you look at the progression through the professional practice, you can see that growth. So it really does help leaders to ask some of those more challenging questions and challenge their own practice.
The profiles help me in developing that relationship with others and that trust with others to let them lead the work that was happening, and also to be a mentor in continuing that work, and as a reflection tool for seeing the effectiveness of the work we've done and where to go next. So the profiles guide my work in working with my team to have those tricky conversations and just push each other a little bit further.
So as a reflection tool, as a tool that offers alternative pathways for enacting our roles and for zeroing in on areas for potential professional growth, they're a very rich and important resource for our profession.
And if I didn't have the profiles there, I'd probably do little bits of development, but it wouldn't be as organised and on track and as reflective as it is with the profile. So I think it's a good way to help new leaders and also help leaders that are already in the role and leaders that have been doing the role for a long time who may think that they've got all this, but it's a good way to reflect back and go, right, well, how can I do it even better?
So what are we hearing about how principals can benefit from using the profiles? Leading a school involves many roles and responsibilities. Examining the professional practices and statements that make up the profiles can help principals develop a deeper understanding of the role. The profiles add valuable structure to conversations when principals draw on the common language of leadership they provide. By identifying their current practice within the interactive profiles, principals can view a developmental pathway for increasing proficiency and discover strategies and resources relevant to their professional growth. The profiles are also helping principals to grow the capacity of their leadership teams by providing a clear framework and focus for performance and development processes. Supported by the profiles, principals can build on their collaborative networks with other leaders for more strategic professional learning experiences, best practice responses to common challenges in schools, and a shared understanding of just what it will take to lead their schools like the best.
I've been a leader for 2 years, so I've been using the profiles for probably the majority of that time. So in terms of changing my way as a leader, maybe not, but it's definitely shaped the leader I am and the leader that I'm going to continue to be.